you have entered the fail zone. What is happening? What is going on? Welcome to Failures Are Individual Lessons. This is a podcast where we get raw and uncut about our failures and our mistakes with the end goal of realizing that these mistakes and failures are simply lessons. Now, today, I have a wise, profound young man on the show today that I'm going to just get right into telling you about him because his story is life-changing. And I want to give him a lot of time to go ahead and dig in and tell us everything that he has to share. Now, today I have Mr. John Evans. He is a self-love coach from the United Kingdom. And when you hear his accent, I love it. You'll be able to tell he's from the UK. And I asked him to tell me a little bit about himself. And he said that he has gone from transforming gardens, you'll hear his story, to now he transforms lives. John found his true calling in life, which is helping people love their inner self to achieve self-mastery. John is on a mission to bring positivity to every corner of the globe. And when I asked him, what is your favorite quote? He quoted Zig Ziglar. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. And then I asked John, what are you grateful for? And he said he is grateful for all that he's gone through in his life. Because he said, listen to this, what we go through in life becomes our greatest lessons and failures. But all we have to do is shift our perspective. The outer game is what most focus on, but the inner game is where life truly starts. Now, John speaks up about mental health awareness. And when I'm going to have his contact information down in the description area. But when I looked, one of his posts, he has many awesome posts, great content. There was something that got my attention. And let me tell you what he said on his post. Talking openly about your mental illness is not seeking attention. It's seeking help. Now, I told you guys, this guy, he's deep, okay? And here's something else, and then we're going to dig right in. I'm going to bring him on to the stage, the Zoom, whatever this is, whatever you want to call it. Most of us think that we are going to get fulfillment from success. And John said that. He said, I thought that I would be fulfilled once I became successful. But listen to this. He said that he actually hit failure because he succeeded. Let me say that again. He hit failure because he succeeded. Now, that said, I am done talking. I want to bring Mr. John Evans, self-love coach, to the stage.
Woo! How's it going?
Hey, John.
So pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I know I've been just talking, but when we talked before this, I was taking notes and I got so many nuggets from you, and those are just a few of them. But I want to dig right in to John's story, okay? And again, what he is going to talk to you about today is something that is going to resonate with everyone in some form or fashion. Now, I mentioned to you in the beginning that he said that he went from transforming gardens to transforming lives. John, what does that mean?
So I'll get straight to it. So when I was young, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had a really, really good friend who was actually became a landscaper, gardener, and he was like, John, I just need some help. Would you mind coming and helping? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I ended up doing that, helping, learning, and he was like, well, I'm going off to college. Do you want to come with me? So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I wasn't allowed to come into the college because it was sick. They would already, it was too far in advance. I couldn't keep up. So what they said is they said, go off, get experience and come into the higher level the year above. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. So I was like, okay, dive deep in. I then went and got 3 landscaping jobs, which basically I worked for a tree surgeon, I worked for a landscaper, and then I was also helping Matt, my best friend, do his work as well. Mm-hmm. So that was really, really good fun. The problem is what happened was I we while we were chatting and, you know, building our little businesses, and I was 16 at this age, so I was like, oh, this is good fun. And the problem is I didn't actually experience the world. I found something which I enjoyed, which I thought I really enjoyed, and I pursued it. I set big goals and I achieved them. We set goals for 5 years. We achieved them in 18 months. And basically, where I'll, you know, pivot this straight to, you know, where I transformed from transforming gardens into transforming lives, is that we were at an MGM meeting, and me and my business partner were getting a standing ovation. And an MGM meeting, for just to understand, is we got a contract for a private estate, which was 350 houses we had to maintain through every year and look after and keep up the residents, you know. And there's also, it was right on the beachfront, so we had to make sure that the public eye as well as the private eye made the, you know, the estate look very aesthetic pleasing. So it was very much self-image. That was a big thing. And when I was getting that standing ovation, I felt like I was missing something. They were all celebrating us, and something was not feeling right inside. And I got a bit worried, because I was like, I've built this business. You know, at that time when I was getting that standing ovation, it was 8 years we were doing this business. And we achieved all of our goals, every single thing. We had visualized this standing ovation from this estate. And I didn't feel right. I did not feel right. So I carried on doing it. And then what happened was, one evening, the business was pivoting because we wanted to expand. So because we were like, right, we want to get some more people in, get some more vans, get, you know, help as many people in the local area as we could. So, and transform their gardens, because I loved seeing the transformation I could within their garden, from going into a day and then, you know, the families coming home and then seeing the gardens, you know, all lovely for them, nice striped lawns, all the hedges cut and all the leaves away. It just, you know, it brought great fulfillment. But the problem is I thought that was fulfillment. But the problem is the fulfillment I thought was not. It was just the visualization of thinking, wow, they're going to really enjoy it. So I was fulfilling other people's dreams. Their dreams was to make sure that they come home and their gardens are all nice. And my business partner was in his own little world. He absolutely loved it. And I was getting lost. Like in a big garden, I'd walk down a path and I had no idea where I am. That's how I felt. And I had a dream. One evening, I don't drink, so it wasn't because of the alcohol or anything like that. But I literally laid there. And I woke up and I was in this dream, and I was wandering around. I was in this new fancy house, new fancy car, you know, nice scenery and everything, like what I would associate as me as having a successful life. And I was still being this landscaper. And I stood up, walked around, and, you know, I could hear people running around, kids and all that stuff. And something inside me, like, really just hit me. I opened the curtains and it just talked to me, and I was like, where's this voice coming from? And the voice was inside me, and it was saying, John, if you're wanting to change your life and live a fulfilling life, you don't have very long. You need to make a decision. Is this really what you want? And that made me really think. Now, let's fast forward. A week after, through that whole week, I was really distant from work. I wasn't even working. I was just like, you know, when you just do something and it's so autopilot that you're not enjoying it, it's just not fun anymore. I had that. And all I could have in my mind, I was streaming, I was mowing, and all I had was this little voice saying, John, if you want to move, you want to transform, you want to change, now is your only choice. Because what I saw is, if I never saw this opened window to transform my life, I wasn't going to be doing this job, and I would hit this house, car, nice family, and I wouldn't be fulfilled. I needed to make a change. I needed to shift my perspective in what I really wanted in life. So I ended up doing that. And what that led me down to was literally 2 weeks after handing in my notice to my business partner, and this was scary. However, I felt very, very confident. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no job. I just literally was like, this is what I need to do. And it was fun. because I was really stepping out of my comfort zone, and I was like, wow, this is liberating. I'm doing something which is standing up for myself and listening to the voice inside me, because, you know, the whole year of me doing this landscaping, I wasn't doing that. What I ended up doing was fulfilling, you know, my business partner's dreams. And that really was, you know, taking a toll on me, because I was giving all my energy out and I wasn't actually having any of it for myself. So, like, you know, Michelle was saying about, I pretty much was very successful and then I hit failure. Well, I did, because I was up there, you know, getting that standing ovation and everything, and I had felt like I hadn't achieved anything.
Well,
And it was like, yes.
well, how, I'm sorry, when you were saying that, they reminded me of the story you told me about the car dealership. So right now, when you're doing the lawns and stuff like that, you were under 18?
Yeah, so I was under 18 through till I stopped when I was 22, 23.
Okay, so when you turned in the resignation with the landscaping, you didn't have a plan B.
No, no plan B. No plan B. I had to, so I basically gave 10 weeks. So this is where I'm transitioning. I gave 10 weeks to my business partner, and I literally said, the last bit on the note was, I know you're not going to understand this, and it's going to be very, very different. Your life's going to change. My life's going to change. But I can guarantee you in 2 years' time, you're going to thank me for this. So I'll speak to you in 2 years. You know, we're still friends now, but I'll speak to you in 2 years. And, you know, 2 years is up. Like, 2 years has gone by, and he's completely transformed the business and everything. I'm so proud of him and everything like that. But I needed to make that shift. Wow. And this is when I thought that following your passion, but what are your passions? I didn't really know. But I thought, hey, I love cars, so let's go and work with cars. So I ended up going into a job, hustling. No one would employ me. If you want to learn a little interview hack, no one would employ me because they thought I was too successful to have the job. And I was like, I'm wanting to learn. Like, I'm wanting to learn and make a shift in my life. Can you not see that? And they're like, but John, why would you want to do this? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, because I want to understand human connection. And I believe that with cars, that's sometimes people's second biggest asset, or as they say, an asset is technically a liability, but you know, right. But you've got that. And I was like, I want to make people have an amazing experience and bring the joy when they're collecting these cars. So I seeked out to be a car salesman. Mm-hmm. However, that didn't really twig with me because I had no idea. I just thought, hey, I'll get in the industry, figure it out and work it. Which then led me down to actually working for a company for 3 months for free. And they then ended up, I built such an amazing relationship with them, rapport with them. They were like, John, you're not going anywhere. We're giving you a job, which was very nice. Wow. And that's when, you know, was the second part of me, not really, you know, I was going back to my bad habits, because what I was doing was not listening to my inner self. I was listening to what other people's dreams were and aspirations. And I was like, I can achieve them for them. I want to help them. And I ended up doing that. Mm-hmm. So that led me down a dark, dark road through the car industry, because I got transitioned up to marketing manager. And the last thing the marketing manager said to me was like, he chucked me his office keys, chucked them to me and said, John, there's the keys to the jail. And I was like, what? What does he mean? He went off and did the transition. I went into employment from being self-employed and having a business, and he went from being employed into self-employed and running a business. So he chucked me the keys, and I was like, I don't quite understand what he was meaning. And I thought, right, I need to shift my perspective. I need to understand why was he saying that. Mm-hmm. And the way he said that was because I had basically accumulated all of these hours and everything. I was working 6 days a week, and I never got told to take a day off because I loved it so much. I enjoyed it. I was having fun and I was learning. I was a sponge. I was like SpongeBob SquarePants, absorbing everything. Okay. And that made me realize that I need to understand what I want, not what other people want. I've got into this job and it made me realize that I need to start understanding myself. So it gave me a lot of time while I was, taking all the photography and going through these transitions, it made me realize that I needed to understand myself. And I thought, how can I do that? I need to seek some sort of coaching, understanding, anything like that.
What was? Let me interrupt you real quick. Was that after you had that kind of the mental breakdown where you told me, and I know we're gonna get vulnerable here, and I appreciate you sharing this.
Yeah, no.
Where you talked to your dad, and you came home.
Yeah, so this is literally just transitioning into that.
Okay.
So when I was seeking and wanting to understand my true self, I had no idea. And I thought, hey, who am I around? And all these people are entrepreneurs, multi-millionaires, like buying all these fancy cars, Lamborghinis, Ferraris and that. And I was like, they must be happy. They must be successful. And they weren't. And I was like, this is weird. I'm trying to be these type of people. My ego I was so egotistical. I was like, I want to buy a fancy car, I want this, I want to go out, spend all this money. Right. Because of the environment I was in, the proximity I was in was kind of creating this egotistical John who I'd never seen before. Which then took me down a dark road because I started burning out really fast. Mm-hmm. And the reason I was burning out was because I never gave time for myself. All I did is gave time for that company and that business. And it made me realize, and I was getting, and we talk about like, it's easier blaming others than it is ourselves. And I ended up doing that. I ended up blaming the manager, blaming the owner, the sales guys, and like, I'm just, it's too much work. Like, I've got, I'm stressed. I've got so much stuff to do. Like, slow down. Like, give me time. How am I going to get this on in 2 hours and all this stuff? And I didn't really look at myself and thought, well, John, are you filling up your cup? Like, what are you doing to make you better? And I was like, nothing. I was going home, eating rubbish, and I didn't do anything. And that was what made me realize that I was having a really, really tough time. So again, we transitioned. Again, I'll try and keep this short, but I went off to be an entrepreneur and that type of thing. And it led me down a dark, dark road, which basically, if we fast forward a year, I was literally crying on my sofa. My dad comes in. He lived pretty close to me. Came in, was just a flying visit, bought me a sandwich or something. And he saw me crying and he, did not understand one thing. And I just broke down. I broke down and I was like, Dad, I don't know where I am. I don't know why I'm here, what I'm doing. This life isn't for me. This is not who I set out to be. I don't want my life to be this person. And my dad's an emotional guy like me, and he just didn't know how to express himself. So we just hugged and, we cried it out. And he calmed me down and said, John, like, I think the doctors is probably the best bet, to go and just maybe have a chat with them and just see what their perspective would be. And that then made me realize that, wow, I've gone really deep. Like, normally guys don't want to go to doctors and say like, hey, I need help. But maybe my dad is right that, I need to seek help. And he hasn't been through it, so he doesn't know his perspective. So he wants to make sure that someone else has their perspective on it as well. So I then headed down. So my dad left with pretty much having to change his t-shirt because it was soaked by my tears. But yeah, so I had to go over to the doctors, booked an appointment, and they basically, long story short, they wanted to put me on antidepressants. And I had to like really hold back because I did not want that. And that was the moment that everything changed. That was the moment I realized that all I've done is to please everyone. All I've done is to not, I've got to myself here. I've achieved so much in life, but I haven't even looked after myself. Like, what am I truly going to do with my life if I go on these tablets? Like, where am I then? I'm just going to be taking tablets. It's not going to help me. So that then took me on a really self-discovery and really understand my inner journey, because I had an epiphany there, which brought me back to my old self, and where I had no belief, where I had no self-worth, no confidence. Like, why was I feeling like this? And it all led down to my childhood. Basically, there was the kid I looked up to at school. He was the smartest kid in the school, and I really, attached a label to it because we had the same name. And when you have the same name, you associate. It's like, oh, I'm like him.
Yeah.
And from him being a 10-year-old kid and me being a 10-year-old kid, he said some words which did not give me confidence at all. And I didn't realize that had ruled my whole entire life, because
Like,
he
what
had
did you
said,
say?
you're not good enough. No one's gonna like you.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you're never going to achieve anything.
Wow.
And yet I had sought and achieved so much in my life. And this is why I never felt fulfilled, because I had never understood what am I seeking? Why am I doing this?
Wow.
And that's when I understood why. Why am I here? Why am I standing here today? And that then took me on the journey to then really work on myself. And when I did that, I was then able to then think, do you know what? I want to help and coach people. I want to help and transform other people, because I believe that other people are feeling the same as me, but yet sometimes they may not feel confident or comfortable speaking up. So I want to be their voice. And for me, doing that gave me so much, fulfillment and meaning to my life, that I then was like, I need to do this. So I set out on a mission to go become a life coach, to become a mindfulness coach, because I realized that being a mindful in our day-to-day life is something that we truly need to live in the now. There's so much of us living in the past, and that's what I was doing. And hey, I reached success, I hit success, but I didn't feel good. Why? Because I wasn't living in the now. I didn't know what my future held. I didn't know what I wanted to achieve. I didn't know for myself, what do I want to have a fulfilling life? And when I start asking them questions and, give all the self-love and self-care to myself, I was able to understand self-mastery. I was able to really understand and how to help people, because we don't look after ourselves. Like you said, Michelle, we look at the external world thinking that that's going to please us. And we don't take even 1 second to look at ourselves and look at their different perspective and think, how am I feeling? How am I feeling today?
And
From 0 to 10, how am I feeling?
And it's the story of a lot of epiphanies when you said the childhood memory. So many, and I've always said this because I was bullied when I was young. And so many things that happen in our childhood, I think we have like a defense mechanism that kind of has us bury those memories. But what happens is they're not buried in the subconscious. And what happens is that it comes through in how we're living our life. And if we don't ask those questions that you realized you have to ask yourself, then we can go down a path pleasing other people, living the life that others want us to live. I mean, I don't know the percentage, but I would say there's a huge percentage of people that go through life just trying to please others or live the life that their parents want or their partner wants, or even kind of put that onto their children, take this path, not even realizing if we don't stop and look within. And I'm going to ask you again to kind of give us some of those questions that we can ask ourselves. Without asking those, we can just go down a complete path of unfulfillment. And again, I find it really profound that you hit failure when you realized how successful you were. So many times, that's all we're doing is striving for success. But if you don't know why, if you don't know your why, then will the success really matter? And will you be fulfilled? Will you be happy? So I find your story very powerful. And I guess I was going to ask you, but I think you answered it. And I'll go ahead and ask you, when did you actually realize that mental health was important to improving your well-being?
When I realized that in order for me to be my best self, I have to look after myself. And the way we realized that is because I was not filling up my cup. And what that then led down to is that I was hitting burnout every day because I was helping others and not looking after myself. And what made me realize is that in order for me to be my best self and to me to give all the energy I possibly want, I need to start recouping or recharging or filling up my cup. But I had no idea. So when I realized about mental health and I started doing more research, understanding it and learning it, I was like, this isn't, people think that mental health is like, oh, you've got mental health. No, we all have mental health. We all have our physical health and we all have mental health. People go and think, I need to improve my mental health by doing my physical health. Well, yes, that helps tremendously. But what we have to do is realize and think, why is my mental health at this stage? What have I done in my life to improve? What have I done in my life to improve it? And what have I done in my life to make it worse? Mm-hmm. And we start reframing our whole life and giving ourselves a different perspective on why we have been acting or feeling the way we feel. And then when we start asking ourselves that, we can then think, I need to change that. I need to shift that. I need to shift that perspective because I don't want to feel like this I am today because I want to feel better tomorrow. So what do I need to do to improve that? Well, I need to make sure I'm filling up my cup.
That's good.
And yeah, so that was kind of when I would, it's kind of more or less how I transitioned. I just didn't want to keep living a life with so many masks on, so many, just, not knowing myself. And when we start understanding our mental health, that's when we can start being more confident, being more energetic, being more loving, because we understand that we can be authentic. We can be raw, we can be real, we can be vulnerable. But be vulnerable in why you want to be vulnerable. Don't just act it. Ooh. Be yourself. Because people try and think that they want to do it and think, oh, if I act vulnerable, then, they might help. But then you don't feel vulnerable. You need to really understand and think deep down, where do I want to go? And if you don't know what you want, how are you going to know? How are you going to know where you want to go? So if you don't know what you want, well, you better start asking for it. And that's the whole thing where it comes down to is we have to set the intentions. So I created intentions every single day. Where do I want to be? Who is my future self? Ooh. Who do I want to be in 10 years? Well, the person I want to be in 10 years is me. It's no one else. I am my own hero. Greatness is within us. And that's where the inner game becomes so important. And I wish, the news would put this on and talk about mental health more and more and more.
Yes.
Because it needs to be talked about. And again, it's my mission to be a voice, a small voice, but be a voice on here to spread some awareness because it's so important. And if we want to live a fulfilling life, I know that success doesn't get you there. Buying fancy things, it doesn't get you there.
Wow. You had it all. And that wasn't it.
That was the questions I was getting when I was leaving my landscaping. They were like, John, but you have everything. Why would you want to change?
Right.
And I was like, do you know when you get a little voice inside you and it says you need to make a move? That's what I had to do.
You listened.
I listened. Our intuition knows best. Listen to your heart. What does your heart say? What's it telling you?
Yes, that's spot on. So, oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to reiterate for our listeners, the failure, the lesson, and there's so many, so that might kind of be a little vague of a question, but if you could just summarize for me. And then if you could share with us, where can people, get some of these nuggets? Where can they find you? And I am going to put the information down, but, tell us a little bit about your coaching program, because you are blessing so many lives, and it's because you are authentic, you've gone through it, you've asked the questions, and you continue to self-develop and grow. That's what makes you so powerful. So, okay, I talked too much. So the question is, can you just summarize failure, lesson, and then tell us about your actual, what you do as a self-love coach?
No worries. So my failure would be that what we need to realize is asking ourselves the questions before we go and answer everyone else's. Because what we're doing is we're saying yes to everyone else and we're saying no to ourselves. And what we need to do is say yes more to us. So when that question arises and you really want to say no, say no. Because what you're doing is you're damaging your integrity.
That's right.
Because your body wants to say no, you don't want that. You don't want to go and do that. You don't want to go off to the movies. You want to stay at home and do some reading. That's okay. But feel your integrity with that. Because if you don't, that's when you start struggling. And I would say the failure is really not listening to oneself and pleasing everyone else. And the success I got from that was nothing. The way, if I reframe that and look at it from a different perspective, if I look after myself, then I start becoming successful. In life, we all want to be happy, don't we? We all want to be happy. Yeah. The only way for us to be happy is to know what we want, not what others want. Because they're not going to be with us every single day.
That's right. We're
with our own mind every single day and our heart with us every day. So listen to these.
That's good.
And also look after your breath. Because we breathe, the way we breathe, we don't breathe enough.
Oh.
In our life, we don't. And we need to make every breath count. Why? Because the way our body works is we have to physically breathe in and out. When you walk and you put your hand over your mouth, do you feel you breathing? No. Well, are you a zombie? We got to breathe. Let nature and the energy and the oxygen flow through your body. We need that. And that fuels you.
That's right.
You're struggling, having a bad day. What do? We breathe.
We breathe, yeah.
To fill ourselves up again.
That's right.
And there's a little self-love of how to, fill up your cup.
Wow.
Is by simple breathing technique, which is really, really simple because yet we don't realize that we're not actually doing it.
Yeah. And I learned the power of breathing. And I realized when I find myself getting upset, when I stop and I take, and there's things you can Google and YouTube on how to do it, but you're so right. We've got to breathe in, breathe out. And it just does so much, just simple oxygen. It does so much for our thoughts, our emotions, our physical health. It's just, that's an awesome nugget. I appreciate that. So more nuggets like that, your coaching program, tell us about it.
Yes. So my coaching program is all about basically allowing people to grow to greatness. I want them to understand self-mastery and grow to greatness. So I just have an 8-week program which teaches people how to really understand themselves, because what I realized is that we all seek the exterior, the outer world, but we don't look after our inner world. But the way to success is look after our inner world, and then we can then seek out the outer world. So the inner game is the most important thing. And my 8-week program breaks down every single thing to really give you the sense of, I'm confident. I know my self-worth. These limiting beliefs, these beliefs which are dragging me down, I know how to come through them. I know how to push through and have a different perspective on my life. Wow. And I've basically created it from my life lessons. I've created a survival guide of how my life, I've learned so much, and I want to be able to share that. And I didn't want to create a program which wasn't authentic to me. So I'm getting raw, I'm getting deep, and I'm sharing it with you through one-to-one, Zoom calls just like this, or to give you that sense of awareness, because perspective and awareness are the 2 words which we need to use more of. Because if we walk into a situation and we're struggling, if we bring our awareness to it and shift our perspective and put ourselves out of it, we'll see it completely different. And that is one tip we have to always do, and no one does it because we think we're stuck in our head and then we go forward. And we're not realizing, well, how am I feeling? What's my awareness? Where's these happening? And my program just gives, again, a great underlining to set you up for success, but it's success on your own terms.
I love it.
It's not on someone else's. It's not on your job. Like, a job is a job. A career is a career. Don't let that be your life. I did that, and it didn't work too well. So I've transitioned, and now I'm doing what I love, and it's not work. It's true fulfillment and meaning.
Wow.
So again, I'll leave you with that. But again, if you wanted to reach out on me on Facebook. So again, Facebook, you can search. I think I'm John.R.W.Evans. Or if you search John Evans, you'll see face probably, and be able to resonate and go from there. Or also, I'm also on Instagram as well, which is my handle is @IamJohnEvans_.
Yeah, and I'm going to put John's information. We're recording this for YouTube, but there's also going to be the audio version on the podcast on Anchor. So on each platform, in the description area, I will have clickable links where you can just click and you can, see him on Instagram or Facebook. And like I said, check out his content. You've heard the man today. Check it out. You will be moved in this program that I love how you call it a survival guide. I love that. I love it because you are teaching people not to compare to others, but how can I be a better me? This is who we are. This is it. How can I be a better me? Not better than Joe Blow or Susie Q, but how can I be a better me? And I thank you so much, John, for being here and being vulnerable and sharing your story, being a mental health advocate. As someone who doesn't watch the news because all that is filled with is negativity, bravo for saying there needs to be more of a light shed on this topic. I thank you for that. I did want to leave you guys with something that John said to me that was profound. And this is what he said. And then I'm going to close. And again, thank you, John, for being here.
No worries.
The key to life. John said, the more you work on yourself, the more the world can see the greatness in you. I'm going to say it one more time. The key to life. The more you work on yourself, the more the world can see the greatness in you. That said, thank you all for joining us today. And remember what I tell you, keep your head up and keep moving forward. Bye-bye.
Awesome.